Gen V Season 2 Episode 1 opens with a man in a lab coat, clearly in a panic, sprinting through the VA hallways. He's headed straight for a group of scientists and VOD employees all gathered around looking a little too eager to take an injection of a vibrant blue liquid. Now, this could just be me, but this color looked exactly the same like Compound V, which makes me wonder, is this some new sneaky variant? Something designed to look like Compound V but secretly do something else? Maybe even fool Vought himself and keeping the soups in the dark? Our mystery man is banging on the door, screaming it's not ready yet. And you'll notice the door says Odessa Project, with security clearance required. Kate's presence looms larger than ever in the aftermath. Her choices in this episode are chilling, because they are not born out of recklessness, but out of calculation. She knows exactly what she is doing, even if the others can't see the whole picture yet. Andre trusted her, leaned on her, believed in her more than anyone else. That is what makes the turn of events so unbearable, because trust has been broken in the most brutal way possible. Every viewer feels the sting of betrayal, even if the show doesn't yet spell it out. We are left questioning whether Kate is a victim of her own power, or if she has crossed a line she can never come back from. Her eyes tell a story of someone who knows she has blood on her hands, yet refuses to let it break her. Jordan and Marie stand at the center of the emotional storm. Jordan, who always seemed unshakable, now shows cracks of vulnerability, their grief bubbling up in moments of anger and confusion. Marie, on the other hand, carries the unbearable guilt of a leader who couldn't protect her own. She is torn between rage and despair, haunted by the idea that Andre's blood might have been spilled because of the battles they chose to fight together. Their emotions explode in small, heartbreaking details. The way Jordan snaps at anyone who tries to offer comfort, the way Marie avoids looking at his empty seat, the way the entire group feels lost without the anchor Andre used to provide. And yet, there is something more terrifying beneath the surface. Andre's death doesn't feel like a natural part of the chaos. It feels staged. It feels like the kind of decision made in dark boardrooms, with files stamped classified, and signatures written in ink and blood. Vought has always been a master at controlling the narrative, and if they wanted to send a message to the next generation of soups, but the beauty of this first episode lies in the way it refuses to give us clear answers. Every scene feels like it is hiding something. Every character seems to be carrying secrets. We don't know if Kate is the mastermind, the victim, or both. We don't know if Andre's death was an accident, a betrayal, or an execution ordered from above. What we do know is that the balance of power at Godolkin has been shattered. The group is no longer a team. They are broken, suspicious, and afraid of each other. And in that silence, in that tension, the seeds of something darker are beginning to grow. This is not just grief. This is the beginning of war. Andre's death becomes the fracture line that exposes every hidden weakness in the group. Where once they stood together against the lies of Godolkin and the iron grip of Vought, now there are cracks everywhere. Grief has a way of distorting loyalty, and fear has a way of twisting even the strongest bonds. Marie, who once carried herself with a fierce determination, suddenly finds her courage questioned. Every step she takes feels heavier, as though the ghost of Andre walks beside her, demanding answers she can't give. Her blood powers, once a symbol of defiance, now feel tainted by guilt. In every drop, she sees a reminder of what they lost, and the thought that she couldn't save him is eating her alive. Jordan, on the other hand, channels their pain into anger. They lash out at anyone who dares suggest moving forward, unable to accept a world where Andre no longer exists. Their grief isn't quiet. It is loud, violent, and terrifying. And through their rage, the audience feels the suffocating weight of unresolved questions. Who did this? And why? The halls of Godolkin shift in atmosphere almost overnight. Before, the school thrived on ego, competition, and whispers of glory. Now it feels like a graveyard. Students huddle in corners, eyes darting over their shoulders, terrified to speak the wrong word or trust the wrong friend. Rumors spread faster than the truth ever could. Some claim Andre sacrificed himself. Others insist he was silenced for knowing too much. But beneath all the stories lies one undeniable truth. No one is safe. The environment of Godolkin was already toxic, but now it feels lethal. Every smile hides suspicion. Every handshake feels like a trap. Even the professors can't disguise the unease. Kate's role becomes the most chilling in these moments. She doesn't cry like the others. She doesn't scream or fall apart. Instead, she carries herself with an eerie calm, the kind that feels both admirable and deeply unsettling. Her powers have always been dangerous, her ability to manipulate minds making her one of the most feared students at Godolkin. But now, with Andre gone, her silence carries a sinister weight. Did she know this was coming? Was she part of it? Or is she simply protecting herself the only way she knows how? By shutting out every emotion? The camera lingers on her face just long enough to make the audience question everything. And when she finally speaks, her words are sharp, measured, and impossible to ignore. She talks of sacrifice, of survival, of doing what needs to be done. But survival at what cost? And whose blood will be spilled next? The group begins to fracture further as hidden tensions rise to the surface. Marie and Jordan, once united in grief, clash over the path forward. Marie wants to dig for the truth, to expose the rot festering beneath the walls of Godolkin. Jordan, however, believes that surviving is the only option, even if it means turning a blind eye. Their arguments are raw and vicious, filled with accusations they can't take back. It is here the audience sees the true danger of Andre's death, not just the loss of his life, but the loss of unity. Without him, they are no longer a family. They are broken shards of glass, cutting each other as much as the enemies around them. And Kate? She watches from the sidelines, letting the chaos unfold. Her silence both terrifying and telling. The deeper the episode dives, the clearer it becomes that Andre's death is more than tragedy. It is strategy. Someone is pulling the strings, someone who knows exactly how to dismantle a team without lifting a finger. By taking Andre, they have planted seeds of mistrust that are already blooming into betrayal. And as the group tears itself apart, we begin to wonder if the real villain has already won before the fight even started. As the story unravels further, the truth begins to claw its way to the surface. Small details emerge. Conversations overheard, files hidden in plain sight, warnings whispered in hallways. Nothing is confirmed, but the pieces begin to form a chilling picture. Andre didn't just die. He was taken out. It wasn't random. It wasn't fate. It was orchestrated. Marie becomes relentless in her search for the truth. She digs into every lead, chases every whisper, determined to make sense of what happened. But the more she learns, the darker the story becomes. She finds traces of experiments, rumors of new serums, and connections between faculty and Vought operatives that suggest something monstrous is brewing. The chilling part is not just that Andre was killed, it's why. His death feels like the opening move in a much larger game, one designed to test how far these young soups can be pushed before they either break or become weapons themselves. Marie's pursuit of the truth makes her a target, and she knows it, but the guilt driving her refuses to let her stop. Every sleepless night is filled with Andre's face. Every drop of blood she controls feels like a scream demanding justice. Meanwhile, Jordan becomes increasingly volatile. Their anger, once aimed at Vought, begins turning inward toward their own friends. They accuse Marie of recklessness, Kate of betrayal, even Emma of weakness. The unity that once made them strong now crumbles under the weight of suspicion. But Jordan's pain runs deeper than anger. They feel abandoned. Andre was their anchor, the one person who understood them without judgment. Now, with him gone, Jordan lashes out because the alternative is admitting they are lost. Their grief transforms into paranoia, and paranoia into rage. It is terrifying, heartbreaking, and yet painfully real. And then there is Kate, who grows darker with every passing moment. She speaks less, but when she does, her words cut like a blade. Her insistence on survival above all else feels less like advice and more like a threat. Every look she gives Marie carries the weight of secrets. Secrets too dangerous to share. The group can feel it, that she knows more than she's letting on. But the question is, why? Did she betray Andre? Was she forced to play a part in his death? Or is she planning something even more dangerous that none of them can see yet? Her quiet intensity makes her the most unpredictable character in this episode, and unpredictability is the scariest thing of all. The episode builds its tension like a ticking time bomb. Every conversation feels like it could erupt into violence. Every shadow hides the possibility of betrayal. The beauty of the writing lies in how it forces the audience to live in that paranoia alongside the... By the time the truth edges closer to the surface, the damage has already been done. The group is fractured beyond recognition. Trust is gone, hope feels like a lie, and every moment is heavy with suspicion. Marie stands at the center, trying desperately to hold them together, but every word she speaks feels hollow. She is a leader by necessity, not by choice, and the weight of it is breaking her down. The more she fights to uncover the truth, the more isolated she becomes, her friends drifting further into anger, paranoia, or silence. And the cruel irony is that this isolation is exactly what Vought wanted: divide them, weaken them, and control them. The plan is unfolding with ruthless precision. Andre's death, once seen as a tragedy, now reveals itself as a weapon. It was never about him. It was about what his absence would do to those left behind. The system knew he was the glue holding them together, the moral compass that guided their every move. By removing him, they ensured chaos. And the chaos works. Jordan spirals deeper into fury, their every decision fueled by grief that burns hotter by the day. Emma, fragile and desperate for stability, clings to any sign of hope, only to be dragged into the storm of conflict between Marie and Jordan. And Kate? Kate becomes something entirely different, colder, sharper, almost mechanical. She speaks of survival with the kind of detachment that makes the audience wonder if she has already surrendered to the darkness Vought represents. The school itself becomes an extension of this darkness. Every corner feels like it's watching. Every authority figure feels complicit. The students whisper about experiments, about disappearances, about powers being twisted into something unrecognizable. It is no longer a school. It is a breeding ground for fear, a laboratory where young soups are tested not just in strength, but in loyalty. And with Andre gone, the message is clear. Loyalty is demanded, not earned. Those who resist will be silenced. Those who comply will survive. For now. The climax of the episode doesn't come with explosions or battles, but with silence. A silence so heavy it feels like a scream. The group sits together, not as friends, but as strangers bound by grief and suspicion. No one speaks, because words feel useless. Andre is gone, the truth is hidden, and the future is darker than ever. In that silence, the audience realizes that the real horror of Gen V is not. Episode 1 leaves the audience in a state of shock and dread. There are no comforting answers, no promises of hope, only a haunting reminder that this world does not forgive weakness. Marie, despite her determination, looks defeated, her eyes heavy with the weight of loss she can't undo. Jordan, exhausted from rage, finally falls into silence, the kind that speaks louder than any scream. Emma, fragile and uncertain, clings to the fading idea that maybe they can survive this together, even though the cracks are too deep to mend. And Kate, sitting in the shadows, carries herself like someone who knows the game has only just begun. She is calm. Too calm, as though Andre's death was not an end, but a move in a larger plan. Whether she orchestrated it, allowed it, or simply adapted to it, her stillness is the most terrifying thing of all. The brilliance of this episode lies in how it transforms grief into fear, and fear into tension that will haunt every episode that follows. Andre's death is not just a plot twist. It is a statement. It tells the audience that no one is safe, that every bond can be broken, that every act of trust can be turned into betrayal. It tells us that the story we thought we were watching has changed, and that the characters we thought were untouchable are not only vulnerable, but disposable. And that truth is more terrifying than any villain. As the credits roll, one question lingers heavier than the rest. If Andre can fall, who is next? The fear doesn't end with the episode. It carries into the hearts of the audience, making us question every character, every motive, every alliance. The suspense becomes unbearable because we know this is only the beginning of something much darker. Vought's grip tightens. The students crumble, and the world of Gen V prepares to devour anyone who dares to resist. Andre's death may have silenced his voice, but it has unleashed a storm that cannot be contained. His absence is the shadow looming over every moment, the reminder that nothing is sacred in this world. Not friendship, not loyalty, not even life itself. And as Season 2 begins, we are left with one devastating truth. The heroes of Godolkin are not fighting to win anymore. They are fighting to survive. The closing act of Episode 1 doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like a wound that refuses to heal. Every character is left broken in their own way, and the silence surrounding them is heavier than any fight scene could ever be. Marie sits in her dorm room, her hands trembling, staring at the dried stains of blood she once controlled so fearlessly. But for the first time, her powers don't feel like a gift. They feel like a curse. She couldn't save Andre, and that truth cuts deeper than any blade. She swore she would protect her friends, but the guilt now lives inside her like a parasite, feeding on every memory, every heartbeat, every breath. Her determination to uncover the truth has not faded, but it has twisted into something darker. This isn't about hope anymore. It's about vengeance. Jordan, who once stood tall and unbreakable, now walks like a storm barely held together. Their grief has eaten away at every part of them, leaving only sharp edges and raw anger. They can't sleep without seeing Andre's face. They can't breathe without hearing his voice. And in their mind, every friend, every ally is a potential betrayer. They are a ticking bomb, waiting to explode. And the cruelest part is that they know it. Jordan's story, from this moment on, is no longer about fighting for justice. It's about surviving their own rage before it destroys everything around them. Emma, fragile and desperate, becomes the quiet reflection of the audience. She clings to small moments, small hopes, trying to hold on to the idea that the group can still heal. But even she feels the cracks spreading too wide, the shadows closing in too fast. Her voice trembles when she speaks. Her eyes dart when silence lingers too long, and her hope feels like it's slipping further away with every passing second. She becomes the reminder that innocence cannot survive in a world built on blood and lies. And then there is Kate, always silent, always calm. She sits in the shadows, a figure who seems both broken and invincible at the same time. Her choices remain unclear, her role a mystery, but her stillness is terrifying. It's the kind of stillness that hides storms, the kind of calm that only comes from someone who knows more than anyone else in the room. Was she part of Andre's death? Did she see it coming? Or is she preparing for something worse? Something none of them can even imagine yet. Her silence is louder than any confession, and it leaves the audience with a... As the credits approach, the episode delivers its final blow. Not through action, but through a lingering sense of dread. The camera doesn't give us closure. It doesn't give us justice. It doesn't even give us hope. It leaves us with questions that feel like knives. Who killed Andre? Who will fall next? And how much longer before the group completely destroys itself from the inside? Andre's death changes everything, but it also reveals the dark truth of Gen V. Heroes are not created here. They are broken, manipulated, and used until nothing is left but shadows of who they once were. The audience walks away shaken, not just mourning a character, but fearing the future. Because if Andre can be taken, no one is untouchable. Not Marie, not Jordan, not even Kate. The game has only just begun, and the players don't even know the rules yet. The final shot is not a goodbye. It's a warning, a promise that the storm is only beginning to rise. And when it finally breaks, Godolkin will drown in its fury. And as the screen fades to black, one haunting truth remains. Andre is gone, but his death will haunt every step that follows, every betrayal that comes, and every life that is yet to be lost. This is no longer just a story about power. This is a story about survival, and survival has never felt this terrifying.